Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with this week's My 2 Cent Switch/gaming video, where I took a look at some of the stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion on them. And we have like about eight. Yeah, definitely eight ones. So this one's a biggie as well. So why don't we get started with our first one? And this one has to do with an interesting announcement that we could be getting at the upcoming GDC conference, which I refer to as the Game Developers Conference, that the fact that Xbox Live could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware that Nintendo has launched their online servers, or their online service, and well, let's just say their service has kind of been met with sort of mixed results. While the idea of especially $20 for 12 months, certainly it doesn't sound so bad, not everybody is a big fan of the service though. Some people say there are certain connection issues when they're playing games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Others don't like the idea of them with the NES games, where it was only seen like drips of NES games come out, to the whole infamous, the whole voice chat thing through your phone, which doesn't seem to exactly sit well with a lot of people. But although I've been hearing that supposedly there's a new software that's going to allow you to do voice chat even without the phone and all that stuff, similar to what we've seen with Fortnite and Warframe and all. Well, it looks like we might be getting another part of an online service, as I mentioned, the whole Xbox Live, to be exact, if these stories are correct. From an article on Games.to, this is what they're saying right now, or at least according to what they're saying. Microsoft is, and I quote, and again, link will be in the description, Microsoft plans to expand Xbox Live to other platforms, including Nintendo Switch and mobile. The company says bringing the network to more console will enable game developers to connect players between ISO, Androids, and Switch, in addition to Xbox and any games in the Microsoft Store on Windows PC. The move was teased in a description from an upcoming session at GTC, where the plan would presume to be revealed in more details. The session titled Xbox Live Growth and Engaging Your Gaming Community Across ISO, Android, Switch, Xbox, and PC, presented by Microsoft, will include details on the expansion, which Microsoft said will take Xbox Live to over 2 billion devices with the release of our new cross-platform Xbox development kit. It's worth pointing out that supposedly, at least according to Game Radar and other sites, that this thing that was on the GDC website was taken down. The news description continues. Xbox Live players are highly engaged and active on Xbox and PC, but now they can take their gaming achievement, their friends list, their clubs, and more with them to almost every screen. Further details are scant, S-C-A-N-T, at present, but we'll learn more during GTC, which takes place from March 18th to the 22nd. While this news doesn't necessarily concern crossplay directly, Microsoft has been talking for years about connecting rival platforms like PS4 and Xbox One. Xbox One boss Phil Spencer previously explains the success to Microsoft involvement more than just sales of Xbox One. In fact, GameStop discussed with him back in late 2017 is quite telling and makes this Xbox Live news sound like it's something that's been contempting for years. So the idea of Xbox Live, connecting with the Nintendo Switch and all, is kind of interesting, to be exact, considering that not only have they been open to cross-platforms, but we've also seen that I think that feature where you connect to your Xbox account is available even in the Switch version of Minecraft, which supposedly Microsoft owns the rights to the developers of the creators of Minecraft. And just to give you a clear idea of what Xbox Live is, at least according to Microsoft's own website, although bear in mind, however, if this story is true that Xbox Live is coming to Nintendo Switch, I don't know if all of these features, based on what they're talking about, will make an exact appearance on it, though. So based on the sample they have for Xbox Live, at least according on Microsoft's website, they're saying, quote, and they're saying, here's a sample of what you could do on Xbox Live. Enjoy unlimited online multiplayer games with friends wherever they are. Download and play free game demos and full Xbox One games. Enjoy exclusive member deals and preview. Catch up on movies and TV shows through movies and TVs and great lines of partner services. Watch sports with ESPN, NFL, and other sports apps, which will be continually added to Xbox One. Listen to personal music with Groove and iHeartRadio. Use your phone or tablet as a second screen for an enhanced game and entertainment experience. Access your cloud, game saves wherever you are. Use your voice to easily find games, music, movies, and TV shows with Connect. Obviously, Switch doesn't have, a Connect or anything like that, so... they talk about certain features that require either Xbox Live Gold membership, and of course, and some other features like Groove Movie Pass subscription and all that stuff. So, obviously, there may be some features that may not be accessible if they bring the Xbox Live to the Nintendo Switch. But it is still very interesting to see this, if this story is true. And I've heard this before, and I kind of do agree with this though. If they're bringing the Xbox Live service to the Nintendo Switch, it does make you kind of wonder, are they setting the stage for the possibility that we could get something like, say, Xbox Game Pass, the streaming service they have for the Xbox, where you could pay the streams games through their service as well. So I'm curious if Microsoft is if this story's true, if they're setting the stage for something like that. And that would be kind of interesting, though, if that does come to fruition, and if that comes to the Nintendo Switch in general. The idea of an Xbox Gaming Pass through the Xbox Live and so forth. So I'm very, very curious about this one. So my overall take is that it's interesting. We'll see if this turns out to be true when the Game Developer Conference happens between March 18th and 22nd, and it will be very interesting to see the reaction that Nintendo fans have if this comes to fruition. And if Xbox Live is coming to the Nintendo Switch, I am curious to see in what form and what capacity it's going to be in it, because obviously if Microsoft's showing on their page is based on what the samples of what Xbox Live is, if you have like an Xbox One or anything, I'm curious to see what would be available for Switch owners and what wouldn't be should Xbox Live come to the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2, and this one has to do with a bit of a controversy surrounding the upcoming release of Metro Exodus. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a controversy that has sort of surrounded the upcoming release of the game Metro Exodus, the third entry in the Metro series from THQ Nordic. For me, the games are actually kind of fun. The Metro series I've played before, especially the first one, though. I enjoyed the story to the gameplay. So for me, I enjoyed the fact that it was that linear first-person shooter, linear story type of a game. So the series is kind of always interests me, sort of, in a way. And with the announcement of the third one, I am definitely looking forward to it. Mostly for the PS4, since I'm planning to pick up that version as well, although we know the game's coming available to Xbox One, excuse me, and PC, which is where we're going to with the PC version that has sort of ran into a bit of a controversy, and this mostly has to do with the exclusivity, though. For those who are not familiar with it, there was supposedly a story that came out that basically the developers of Metro Exodus signed supposedly a timed exclusive to have Metro Exodus available through the Epic Games Store. So if you wanted to play the game, you had to get it through the Epic Games Store. And that really did not sit well with a lot of PC gamers, especially those that use Steam as their main source of playing a lot of the games on PC though. And well, the controversy turned into not only a blame game, but exactly over some comments that were made by the developers that didn't exactly sit well with everybody though. From an article from Game Industry Buzz, they are reporting that, quote, the publisher of Metro Exodus continues to face a backlash after making Metro Exodus temporarily exclusive to the Epic Game Store. The latest outcry centers around an unnamed member of the staff at 4A Games, the developers behind the series, took to the forum of gameru.net, spotted by Eurogamer, to complain about the reaction to this news. He said that for years, 4A Games have been trying to do something special with the game, but a certain category of players believe that our work is not even worth a couple of minutes to install the launcher. He warns that if all PC players announce a boycott of Metro, then the next Metro, if it does happen, is definitely not on PC. Deep Silver and Koch Media, KOCH, has stressed that this is not a stance of the publisher in a Twitter response via the official Metro account, reiterating that the decision to move Exodus to Epic Games Store was made by us alone. And it says, quote, the recent comment made by a member of a 4A game development team do not reflect Deep Silver or 4A Games' view on the future of the franchise. The firm wrote, they do reflect the hurt and disappointment of a passionate individual who has seen what was previously nothing but a positive goodwill towards his work turned into a controversy due to a business decision he had no control over. We respectfully ask that any and all valid feedback over this decision is directed at KOCH Media / Deep Silver and not the developers at 4A Games. The future release strategy of Metro series lies within KOCH Media, Deep Silver. Our decision to partner with Epic Games was based on the goal of investing in the future of the series and our development partners at 4A Games. We have every intention of continuing this franchise, and a PC version will always be at the heart of our plans. 4A Game has been suffering from the decision, if only that its previous games and the remasters have been review bombed on Steam, countering a swath of negative comments based around the move to Epic. The news was first announced last week and has prompted a remarkably strong reaction. Following the initial wave of negativity, THQ Nordic, which owns Deep Silver, emphasized that it was KOCH's decision seemingly distancing itself by suggesting it preferred to let players choose the platform for as many of its releases as possible. It later distanced itself from this decision by saying that it fully supports Koch Media, KOCH decision in this case, though, and the whole situation has kind of gotten back and forth on this, though. Now, when it comes to exclusivities and all that stuff, there are some arguments for and against it, and I think there have been some people who don't like the idea of exclusivities and all that stuff because of, like, they don't want to be like they have to buy a system just to play a certain game, or in this case with the PC, they have to install a different launcher just to play a certain game and all that stuff. And to some degree, I can understand that argument. And then there's the other side of the argument where exclusivity could actually be a good thing. Case in point, though, a good example I could give is with Bayonetta 2, where Platinum wanted to do a sequel, but Sega was not willing to put funds for it. And basically, Platinum did shop around, and yes, they even went to Sony and Microsoft at one point and asked if they would be interested. And then they went to Nintendo, and Nintendo said, yeah, we'll fully fund this game, make it exclusive to our system, and we'll fully fund it. So there are occasions where exclusivity can be a good thing, and there are times when exclusivity can also be, well, a bad thing. As for the response to this, while you can debate whether or not it was justifiable for people to review bomb the past entries of the Metro series, though, I will say the developer's response, I'm not really sold on it. I mean, I can understand that I can understand if like the developer is being threatened or anything like that, but this doesn't seem to be that case, and basically hold hostage of saying that if people boycott the Metro series, they're not bringing it to the PC. No, I'm not doing that. I think, in my opinion, the developer handled that situation poorly, though. I will admit there are occasions when some gamers will take it out of line and take it perhaps maybe too far. And again, it's certainly debatable whether you think review bombing the past entries were justifiable or not. But to hold a series hostage because your game didn't sell well, or basically saying if you continue to boycott, I'm sorry, but that's almost at the same level as what EA did with the whole situation with Battlefield 5, which, while I believe there are some criticism towards people who played the SJW and Feminazi card, EA didn't exactly help themselves when they went out of their way calling people uneducated and if you don't like it, don't buy it argument, which obviously that did have an impact on Battlefield 5 to be exact. And I feel like this is close to that level in a way. I think hold a series hostage just because some people were upset over the exclusivity, though, I really think that was a dumb move on the developer's part. So overall, the whole issue of exclusivity is certainly debatable, but I don't agree with the way the developer handled the situation, and this certainly turned into a big mess for THQ Nordic and Deep Silver. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with possibly a bit of an update on the possibility of, Rage.to whether Rage.to will be coming to the Switch or not. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at what could be, or supposedly, an update on the possibility of Rage.to, whether that's coming to the Nintendo Switch or not. Now, I'm putting aside the controversy that Bethesda had last year with Fallout 76, which, let's be honest with ourselves, they deserve it. They absolutely deserved the criticism for how they handled the Fallout 76 situation. There's no way to go around that. As much as I like Bethesda, they're not immune to criticism, and of course Fallout 76, they deserved it though. Putting that aside though, Bethesda certainly has 2 games that are certainly catching my attention though. Both of them are, one, Doom Eternal, a sequel to the 2016 Doom, or Doom 2016 as I like to refer to it, and Rage.to, a sequel to the 2011 release of the original Rage, released back on, I believe, the PC, Mac, and of course PlayStation 3, and of course the 360. Having played the first one, I will say that while it's far from perfect though, it was a fun first-person shooter, even though it's not 100% perfect. With especially ranging from the RPG mechanics to some of the story and all that stuff, it was an enjoyable first-person shooter. Now, interestingly enough, One of those games, Doom Eternal, is scheduled to come to the Nintendo Switch, courtesy, of course, with Panic Button working on the Switch version. As some of you are aware of, Panic Button also worked on the Switch version of Doom and Wolfenstein 2, which, despite running at 720p 30 frames per second, it surprisingly was a good game, even for something on something like the Nintendo Switch. Let's also not forget Panic Button also handled Rocket League and, of course, the free-to-play Warframe. Other title, on the other hand, is whether we're not sure if this one will come to Nintendo Switch. And that, of course, is Rage.to. And based on some of the gameplay that has come out so far for the game, it's definitely on my list of first-person shooters I'm looking forward to playing, along with Doom Eternal, assuming both of them hit their release date. And last year, supposedly they made some comments that kind of gave the impression that there was some hope that Rage.to could come to the Nintendo Switch. Well, recently they kind of gave an update on it, and while it's not an official concrete information, it's not a flat-out yes or flat-out no at this time. In an article from Gamebolt, which they picked up from a preview that was made of Rage.to via Polygon, it writes, quote, recently, its software head, Tim Willits, provided another update. In a recent preview posted for Rage.to by Polygon, the site mentioned that according to Tim, the developers are currently investigating a Nintendo Switch version of Rage.to. That's it, a one-word update, but they're saying, hey, it's something. At least we know they're thinking about it. Not too long ago, Bethesda Pete Hines stated that since Rage.to runs on Aulx Studio's Apex engine instead of its tech, unlike Doom and Wolfenstein, a Switch port of the game is a little trickier. So obviously, they're still looking at whether or not Rage.to could come to the Nintendo Switch or not. My take on it is the same as I had when this question was asked about the possibility, though. I won't be shocked or surprised if it turns out that Rage.to is not coming to the Nintendo Switch. Not saying I wouldn't be disappointed, but I wouldn't be shocked or surprised by this. That said, I certainly would like to see if Rage.to would come to the Nintendo Switch. Even if they could get it running properly, if they could get it running even at 720p 30 frames per second, if they could get it to run properly on the Nintendo Switch, I would be down with that. If Rage.to cannot come to the Nintendo Switch, then I think Bethesda and it should consider maybe the possibility of, say, maybe doing a side story set in the Rage universe. Maybe something that takes place between the original Rage and Rage.to, and maybe incorporate certain elements from Rage.to in this game. So have something like maybe exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. I know people have some issues with exclusivity and all. Some may or may not agree with that in any way. But if they can't get Rage.to on the Nintendo Switch, maybe they should consider that kind of approach, though. Alright, so my overall takeaway is that would I like to see Rage.to come to Nintendo Switch? Of course. Do I think it's going to happen? Who knows, though, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out if they can't bring it over. If they could bring it over and it could be a proper version of Rage.to, even if it's at 720p or 30 frames per second, then I certainly would be down with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out in the end that they can't bring Rage.to to the Nintendo Switch. Will I be disappointed? Yes. Will I be surprised by this? No. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to be taking a look at 2K Gaming, and they released some of their financial earnings, and there is one little surprise that is kind of interesting, and then there's one where it was pretty obvious considering how well that one did. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at 2K Games and their posting of their fiscal reports. Now, 2K Games, at least for support for the Nintendo Switch, has been kind of up and down, at least when it comes to their supports, both good and bad. While they have supported the system with some good games, though, like LA Noire. They've also supported it with some games that may not appeal to everybody, like the Carnival games, although I've heard that, that supposedly is sold well, to some games that, like, say, some games like NBA 2K, which certainly a lot of fans enjoy, but the amount of downloads or the amount of that takes up in terms of your Nintendo Switch, some people feel that's a little bit outrageous and unacceptable. And then, of course, there's the infamous WWE 2K18, at least on the Switch, and we all know how big of a mess that was, though. Despite that, 2K Games, or Take-Two Interactive, still produce some pretty good games out there, some that are very interesting, especially last year's, in which I put at number 2 on my top 9 PS4 games of 2018, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, it seems as though I get the companies mixed up. Take-Two Interactive is certainly very pleased with their financial reports. In an article from Game Industry Buzz, though, Game Industry Biz, it reports that, quote, publisher Take-Two has beaten its third quarter revenue target following the huge success of Red Dead Redemption 2. The open-world action game from Rockstar has seen 23 million copies sold throughout the retail, beating Take-Two's expectation. The company delivered $1.57 billion in net bookings. The firm has expected to deliver 1.40 to 1.45 billion, a rise of 140% compared to the same period the year before. And it delivered 1.248 billion in revenue. It has expected 1.1 billion to 1.15 billion. The firm delivered a gross profit of 350 million. Red Dead Redemption 2 drove the performance, but so did the game's online mode, Red Dead Online. The live mode to Red Dead Redemption 2 is now trending ahead of how GTA Online was performing by the same point in its life cycle. It's a beta offering, of course, and it's gone about what we expected, said the CEO. It also points out that Grand Theft Auto 5 has been a mainstay in the charts for more than 5 years, and it constantly performs for Take-Two. He the CEO wouldn't be drawn into whether he expects Red Dead Redemption 2 to follow the same trend, but nevertheless pleased with the performance so far. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Red Dead Redemption 2 follow in the same path of Grand Theft Auto 5, especially with, GTA Online. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something with, Red Dead Online going to that same path. Going down that same path as well. It also points out that, quote, wasn't all Red Dead, of course. NBA 2K19 continues to perform strongly in the quarter. The game is the best-selling sports title in the US last year, and the third best-selling game in the US overall. The game is now expected to outsell its predecessor, Take-Two says. Outside of its big franchises, and here's another one, Take-Two reported that the sales of Civilization VI, again, I don't know Roman numerals, so I apologize if I get that wrong, for the Nintendo Switch significantly exceeded expectation. It was one of the 4 games that firm released on Switch in the latter month of 2018. We feel good about the performance as we put the title on Switch that we felt were going to perform well. We are excited about continuing to support the Switch for the right kind of properties, although they don't tell us exactly the sales numbers for the Nintendo Switch version. So overall, a takeaway from this, obviously, is that it's clear, though, that Red Dead Redemption 2, which isn't really a surprise, certainly has become a huge success for them. And I can see where Red Dead Redemption 2, especially with Red Dead Online, like I said earlier, could probably follow the path of what GTA Online is. Even though Red Dead Online did receive some controversy regarding, the use of the microtransactions in it, and how some people feel it was utterly ridiculous how they're setting the price and so forth, although Rockstar said they're going to fix that to a certain degree. Even so, the game is performing very well, and I'm glad that it is. I definitely enjoy Red Dead Redemption 2. But to hear that Civilization on the Nintendo Switch significantly exceeded their expectations, if what they're saying is correct, is definitely a good thing. And hopefully this means we'll see more support for the Nintendo Switch from Take-Two Interactive, including its parent companies, either Rockstar or 2K Games. What games will come from them or not remains to be seen. While certainly it's most likely we'll see probably more Carnival games or more of NBA 2K, assuming that does very well for them. If I had it my way, though, I would love for them to bring games like, say, XCOM 1 and 2, since we have Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which many view that as which is the closest thing to XCOM we have on the Nintendo Switch as of right now. Other entries of Civilization would be great as well. I would love to see the BioShock trilogy make its way onto the Nintendo Switch. That would be great. 1, 2, and Infinite. I certainly would love to see the Borderlands series come to the Nintendo Switch, although they would have to convince Randy Pitchford to do that, if they could pull that off in any way, assuming he's done trying to defend his actions with Alien Colonial Marines in any way. But the two biggest ones that I would love to see, if it happens though, is, of course, Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption though. I would love to see a port of Grand Theft Auto 5 come to the Nintendo Switch. Even a port of Grand Theft Auto 4. Maybe incorporate the first-person view in that one, fix some areas, but I would love to see both those games come to the Nintendo Switch. As for Red Dead Redemption, I think the first one would be great. Incorporate the first-person view that's been used in GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. That would be nice. As for Red Dead Redemption 2, the Nintendo fan side of me would love to see that happen. I'm just not 100% sure that's going to happen on the Nintendo Switch. Even when Reggie made a comment saying that the game was in development before the Switch came out, which to me kind of gave the impression, in a way, that Red Dead Redemption 2 could come to the Nintendo Switch. I'm not 100% sure about that. I could be wrong. I mean, after all, we've gotten games like Doom and Wolfenstein 2 make their way over to the Switch, so it certainly isn't. Certainly, I'm not ruling it out, but I'm not 100% sure. If Red Dead Redemption 2 can come to the Nintendo Switch, then I would definitely be down with if a remake of the first Red Dead Redemption were to come to the Nintendo Switch. So overall, great that Red Dead Redemption 2 is certainly selling very well, and great that Civilization definitely met the expectations on the Nintendo Switch. Here's to hoping that 2K Games continues their support for the Nintendo Switch, and I certainly would love to see them put more games on the system besides NBA 2K or Carnival games, and maybe, just maybe, actually put a proper WWE 2K games on the Nintendo Switch this time. 2K Games, please, let's see a proper one this time. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 5, and this one has to do with Square Enix, and they released their financial reports, which kind of has sort of a mixed bag on this one. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 5 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Square Enix fiscal report. Now, last year, Square Enix released a couple games that came out. Of course, one of them being my #1 pick for the Nintendo Switch in 2018, Octopath Traveler, and of course, games like I think it's Shadows of the Tomb Raider. I sometimes get those two mixed up. And of course, Just Cause 4. And of course, earlier this week, earlier this year, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. And apparently, these games certainly did well for Square Enix, but maybe not at the level, but it still didn't turn out to be great news for Square Enix. In an article from DualShock, it's reported that, quote, Square Enix has today released its financial information for the third quarter of this fiscal year, which ended on December 31st, 2018. The biggest takeaway from the report by Square Enix is that, as a whole, sales were well up third quarter compared to 2017. Year over year, Square's third quarter saw net sales of 22 billion yen compared to 12.5 billion from the third quarter from its previous fiscal year, which is a pretty dramatic jump. Square Enix cites Shadows of the Tomb Raider, Octopath Traveler, and Just Cause 4 as some of the games that helped bolster its sales in the span of time. In North America and Europe specifically, Square sold 12.47 million units across physical and digital avenue, which is up by over 3 million units in the same region year over year. Despite the success for the quarter, with sales profits for a whole on the quarter were slumpy. Square Enix stated in a report that profits declined YOY, year over year, I believe if I'm saying that correctly, due to increase a monetizing of game development costs, advertisement spending. It turns out that marketing and developing games can be quite expensive, which, in a sarcastic way, no duh. Or the fact that perhaps maybe Square Enix shouldn't spend 10 years working on a game, to be exact. Maybe they need to do a better job when it comes to developing games and addressing the cost. I understand games take time to develop. I understand. I'm not saying they should sacrifice quality or anything else, but clearly Square Enix needs to address this problem. 10 years for a game is utterly ridiculous in a way. It's surely a disappointing end to 2018's calendar year for Square Enix, but it seems like the publisher is still set up the end of 2019 fiscal year incredibly strong. Just this morning, Square announced that Kingdom Hearts 3, which just launched in the West merely a week ago, has already shipped 5 million copies worldwide. It is also now the fast-selling game in the history of the franchise. So, not bad. Even though we don't know if those 5 million are sold, but it's great that they have shipped 5 million copies, and supposedly the game is selling very well, which is good. Plus, they still have the upcoming third-person action title Left Alive that will release in late February in Japan, and in March for those in the West. Assuming sales for Kingdom Hearts 3 continues to stay strong through the end of March, and Left Alive has a good start out of the gate, you'll imagine that Square will have a much more positive news to share in the next round of financials for the fourth quarter. We'll report on those financials down the road when they come through. So it seems as though that it was kind of a mixed result. It's great that Octopath Traveler, a Switch exclusive, it certainly did very well for them. So that is great, and hopefully we'll see more support for Square Enix for the Nintendo Switch down the road. Or maybe something similar to Octopath Traveler as well. We know that obviously they're thinking about a sequel, and we know there's been rumors going around about possibly a third Bravely Default game though. Shadows of the Tomb Raider and Just Cause 4 is kind of interesting that those games did well, even though there were some issues in terms of, ranging from some glitches or some people didn't like the gameplay or anything like that. Nevertheless, it did very well, but obviously the success, despite the success though, obviously it didn't turn out as good as they were hoping for. Hopefully they can address their development costs and advertisement spending, and hopefully we'll see some more good games from Square Enix. as long as they don't botch it up in the way they did with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, or at least we have to, or have the whole wait 10 years for a game to come out, like we saw with, I think, Final Fantasy 15, and also, of course, with Kingdom Hearts 3. Although my early impression with Kingdom Hearts 3 is, I'm liking it so far, at least for now. I'm still early in the game. I have to get a little bit further into it, but I'm liking what I'm seeing for the moment. But overall, mixed for Square Enix, though. As a Nintendo fan, it's great that Octopath Traveler did very well for them. Hopefully this means we'll see more support from them for the Nintendo Switch. That would be really, really great. And great that Just Cause 4 and Shadows of the Tomb Raider, even though I haven't picked it up yet, are doing well. And great that Kingdom Hearts 3 is off to a good start, at least. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 6, and this one has to do with EA releasing their report for Battlefield 5, and obviously EA isn't really happy about it. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 6 of our My Two Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at, of course, Battlefield 5, or EA's financial report, at how the game didn't meet the expectation they have hoped for. Now, I'm sure you're all aware about the controversy last year with Battlefield 5 when it was first revealed. The first one, obviously, was seeing a woman, or a British woman, fighting in World War II with basically what looked like a prosthetic arm, and supposedly a soldier with a katana, to be exact. And some people didn't like that approach at all in the first place. While some people kind of played the SJW and feminazi card maybe a little too serious, and it's one of the many reasons why I don't take that card serious anymore, there were some justifiable complaints, such as, like I said, the katana in World War II, to the fact that, at least as far as the British campaign goes, though, I'm not aware of any women serving in the combat line during World War II, at least on that front, though. I do believe that there were some women that did serve in World War II. I think I remember reading in the Soviet Union, and I think it's some in the French Resistance. So there were campaigns EA could have used, but unfortunately the whole situation is they doubled down on it, calling people uneducated and using the infamous "if you don't like it, don't buy it," which obviously people that's just people stuck with that. That's my cat scratching my blanket, though. And well, the whole situation with the pre-orders down, and they had to push the game back to November. Well, the game, EA released their reports on it, and apparently they're not happy, despite supposedly the game making, I believe, sold like 7.3 million copies, and even they're not happy with that. In an article from GameSpot, it is reported, quote, about EA. They're saying, Electronic Arts announced earnings results for the all-important holiday season, and it wasn't the kind of performance the company wanted to see. Amidst a tremendous turbulence, TUMULTUOUS, year, EA said the company overall did not perform up to the expectation. One title that failed to hit the target was the World War II shooter Battlefield 5. The game sold a massive 7.3 million units in the time between the launch in November and the end of the year, but this was 1 million short of what EA had projected. As for the game's struggle, EA CEO Andrew Wilson said the marketing campaign failed to capture the attention of players. The campaign lacked the creative center, the company said, though it shared no other details. Wilson added that the game's delay from October to November hurt Battlefield 5 because it meant that the game was going up against titles already discounted for the holiday seasons. Not only that, but Battlefield 5 struggled because unprecedented competition, Wilson said. He mentioned Fortnite, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and Red Dead Redemption 2 as titles that ate away at Battlefield 5 sale to some degree. Not only that, but Wilson suggests that EA's decision to prioritize Battlefield 5 single player over a new Battle Royale mode, Firestorm, hurt Battlefield 5 sales. Firestorm is launched in March and it won't be the first Battle Royale game from EA. Just recently they launched Apex Legends for the Titanfall Studio, Respawn Entertainment. Overall, Battlefield 5's launch failed to catch on with players and it never caught up. Wilson said, despite Battlefield 5's commercial underperformance, the game was generally well liked by critics and the franchise remained strong. Wilson says, as such, the focus for EA and developer DICE now is on bringing new players into the title going ahead. So, first of all, pardon my language on some of this, but I think what he's saying is a load of crap. The reason why the game did not perform well was, I think a lot of it was the controversy. Yes, I don't buy the SJW and feminazi argument though, but EA's response to the whole controversy, especially the you don't like it, don't buy it, really stuck with a lot of people. And I think that certainly did not help, including when they started to double down with try to do a counter to the hashtag not my battlefield to everyone's battlefield. And the single player argument, really? That is your argument? That you believe that prioritizing a single player over a new battle royale is what basically hurt the game and all? Never mind the fact that despite the fact that there are plenty of single player games that have been successful. Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Nier Automata, NOIH, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Spider-Man. These are single player games, and these games sold well and were critically loved by consumers though. So to make this claim that the single player game hurt them over the new battle royale is to me a load of crap, because obviously they couldn't do recurring monetization with the battle royale kind of part. So to me, I'm not buying this argument. I think really EA shot themselves on the foot on this one. And the fact that they are basically blaming that, never mind the fact that they don't want to take any responsibility that some of the controversy they caused themselves. Just like with, of course, Command and Conquer Rival, which they released that to a mobile phone, and then try to double down on it, only to now realize that game did not reach their expectation as well. So to me, the fact that Battlefield 5 did not become the success they were hoping for, you know what? I didn't even bother touching the game, and I have no desire to touch the game going forward, or any game with EA for that matter. So, you know what? To me, I certainly am not buying the excuse of why Battlefield 5, or at least EA's reason for why Battlefield 5 is a failure. I think the failure was, a good chunk of it was on them. You chose to alienate your fans. You chose to use single player as a reason why people were not buying the game, or it's feared because you should have put Battle Royale on it. To me, I'm sorry, that's a load of crap. It is. So overall, you know what? Even with the failure of Battlefield 5, I don't think EA is going to learn anything from this. So I'm not holding my breath that they're going to see the light and change their ways anytime soon. So to me, it's a disappointment. It's unfortunately a failure on EA's part. They're still going to support it though, but I'm not buying their argument for why the game was a failure. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 7, and this one has to do with Disney and EA, and it seems as though Disney is doubling down on their support for EA. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 7 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a comment made by Disney regarding EA in general and the Star Wars license. Now, ever since EA had acquired the license or the rights for it at 2013, it has not actually been the greatest results ever, and lately they've handled the license in a poorly manner that has not sat well with a lot of people. The first one, Star Wars Battlefront, was released for PS4 and Xbox One, and to not really met with a lot of great expectations, especially some criticism as people pointed out that they had a $60 game with little to no content and a $50 season pass to little to no content. But of course, the biggest one of all was Star Wars Battlefront 2, and the insane amount that EA had the audacity to put loot boxes and microtransactions in such a way to create it into a pay-to-win kind of situation. And the backlash of this grew and grew to the point that mainstream media was starting to pick this up, that put pressure, that basically put Bob Iger, the head of Disney, in a position where he had to call EA and tell them to take out those loot boxes. And they did, although supposedly it made the game broken or something like that. And then it got to the point where authorities in several countries started to investigate whether loot boxes were a form of gambling. Even one representative in Hawaii by the name of Chris Lee, who in the state legislature in the state of Hawaii, who pushed for an investigation into whether loot boxes is a form of gambling, including the infamous comment of, "We didn't let Joe Camel," I believe this was someone who worked with Chris Lee, or someone who was working with him on this, "We didn't let Joe Camel be used to promote cigarettes to children. We shouldn't let Star Wars promote gambling to children, though." And then, of course, there's the fact that they canceled a lot of Star Wars games that could have sat well with a lot of people, that would have paid money for, which is a single-player Star Wars game being developed by Visceral Games before Visceral shut down. That was to be pushed to an open-world Star Wars game that they've now pulled a plug on that. Even the possibility of a Knights of the Old Republic 3 that EA is not doing or anything like that, and now talking about doing small-scale Star Wars games, to even, I believe, the writer of Rogue One speaking out against how EA has handled the Star Wars license. Yet, despite that, it seems Disney's Bob Iger is not changing his opinion anytime soon. In an article from Variety.com, they are, quote, saying, quote, Walt Disney partnered with Electronic Arts in 2013, granting the developers exclusive video game rights to the Star Wars franchise. That decision was thrown into question recently when EA handled a number of Star Wars games. Star Wars Battlefront 2 came under fire for its questionable microtransaction loot boxes, and EA recently announced it had killed off one of its games, turning it into a smaller project. Conventionally, Electronic Arts was holding its earnings call at the same time as Disney. During its call, EA confirmed that another Star Wars game, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Hero, would be out this year. Bob Iger seemed either unaware of some of the drama surrounding EA's recent handling of the Star Wars brand, or unconcerned when an analyst asked him for his thoughts on whether video games fit in Disney's business moving forward. And he said, quote, "We're obviously mindful of the size of that business," Bob Iger said. "Over the years, as you know, we tried our hands at self-publishing, and we bought companies, we sold companies, we bought developers, we closed developers, and we found out over the years that we haven't been practically good at self-publishing side, but we've been great at the licensing side, which obviously doesn't require that much allocation of capital. Since we're allocating capital in other directions, we just decided that the best place for us to be in that spot is licensing and not publishing. We have good relationships with some of those we license to, notably EA, and the relationship on the Star Wars property, and we're probably going to stay on that side of the business and put our capital elsewhere." Look, I like Disney though. I like some of their IPs. I'm a big fan of the MCU, and I'm looking forward to Avengers Endgames, though, which has been reported to be 3 hours long. But really, Bob Iger, really, you don't care about the? Do you care about the quality of how or what EA has done to the Star Wars license in any way? I'm not going to argue about the Star Wars The Last Jedi or anything like that. I know that has been controversial, and I know some people are mixed about it. I personally didn't hate it as much, but everyone has their own opinion about that. But the way EA has handled the Star Wars license, it's just been piss poor. That license has potential if used properly, and to me it sounds like you gave the impression of you don't really care. Compare that to the Marvel license we've seen so far. Spider-Man was a very successful game on the PS4, and that did very well. And although it's too early to tell whether this game will be a success or not, I do have hopes for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 being handled not only by Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja, but also by Nintendo, which has a good history of putting out quality titles or publishing some really good titles. I mean, again, Nintendo has their share of criticism, I understand, but at least they actually put effort into their titles. This, to me, gives the impression of you really don't care. You don't really give a damn about the Star Wars license. I understand you're a business. You're trying to make money. I understand that, but there are ways you could do that without giving a middle finger to the fan base and consumers in general. You could do like a great RPG in the Star Wars license, a great action-adventure game, or bring back like the beloved Rogue Squadron series that Nintendo fans like from the GameCube and N64 era. Instead, it feels like you just want recurring monetization with the Star Wars license, and that's not sitting very well, okay? And it will be very interesting to see how Star Wars Fallen Jedi is going to do. But given how EA has handled the license so far, honestly, if I was advising you, Bob Iger, I would tell you to basically pull the license from EA and start looking at other developers that really have the heart and passion and the ones that could deliver a true Star Wars game. Again, I understand that you're a business, you're trying to make money, that's understandable, but there's a way you could do it without pissing off the fan base and pissing off consumers. And to just turn a blind eye on this is utterly ridiculous, though. It's really a shame what is happening to the Star Wars license. There's so much potential, and all EA's doing with the Star Wars license is just downright ruining that license. So overall, poor move on Bob Iger's part. I really think that Disney needs to reevaluate having the license be solely handled by EA, because what we've seen so far, EA is incapable of developing a proper Star Wars game with their license. All they seem to care about is recurring monetization and see how much they can nickel and dime people to death. So really disappointed with you, Disney, especially you, Bob Iger, in terms of how you're handling the Star Wars license. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 8, our last one, and this one has to do with Capcom being very pleased with Mega Man 8. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 8th and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to end it on a high note with, of course, Mega Man 11. Now, the Mega Man franchise, before the release of Mega Man 11, though, has sort of been kind of in a rough spot. After Capcom canceled several Mega Man games, including the Mega Man Legend 3, that was originally supposed to come to the Nintendo 3DS, but after Keiji Inafune left, though, they quietly canceled that project altogether. Mega Man was kind of felt like it was that Capcom was going to forget him and pretty much move on without him and all. And of course, 2016 Mighty Number 9, that was supposed to be the replacement of Mega Man, created by one of the folks who worked on it, Keiji Inafune, failed to live up to that expectation, as we saw the whole debacle of a mess that Mighty Number 9 turned into. So it was kind of refreshing when we learned that Capcom was developing Mega Man 11, and it was very refreshing to see the game released last year to positive results and positive response from the community. It was nice to finally see the Blue Bomber return. Well, it seems as though Capcom may be very pleased with their with the return of the Blue Bomber, as they are very happy with the game. Not to mention the Mega Man X collection perhaps did very well for Capcom indeed. In an article by Gaming Tyrant, if I'm saying the name correctly, it states, quote, The last year has been good one for the longtime publisher and developer Capcom. The release of Monster Hunter World was huge, becoming one of Capcom's best-selling games ever. It's also been reported that supposedly Monster Hunter Generation, and I think Monster Hunter Generation Ultimate, I think for the 3DS and the Switch, sold combined sold like 3 million copies so far. Last month's Resident Evil 2 was able to sell through 3 million copies in a couple of days. With the release of Capcom's yearly financials, we are now able to see how well 2018 has treated the return of Mega Man. And yes, 2018 was indeed kind to the Blue Bomber, with strong sales being recorded for both Mega Man X Legacy Collection and Mega Man 11. Released first last year, Mega Man X Legacy Collection gathers together all 8 games of the Mega Man X franchise into a nice compilation filled with lots of bonuses for the series of fans. Sales for the game, though, sit just shy of 1 million at 920,000 copies sold. The report doesn't go into specific breakdown on if those sales include only the Legacy collection, 1 plus 2 bundle of it is included, standalone sales of 1 or 2 as well. Regardless, those us hoping for a possibility see a future release of Mega Man 9 can rest assured, knowing the sales have justified such an endeavor. The second Mega Man game of 2018 was Mega Man 11, a fantastic new addition to the classic franchise. Mega Man 11 was so good, in fact, that they even made it into their top 5 games of 2018. The site, though, bringing back the classic gameplay with a new double gear system and a new challenge levels was a perfect combination for longtime fans of the series to enjoy. Sales has also reflected this, with Mega Man 11 selling 807,000 copies, although they don't report a breakdown between which version sold the most. Both games are projected to sell over 1 million copies by the end of this quarter. This would make Mega Man X Legacy Collection and Mega Man 11 only the second and third game in the franchise to do so in 2003, after 2015's Mega Man Collection Volume 1. So if this is true, though, then it's obviously clear that it sounds though that Mega Man is making the comeback that a lot of people were hoping to see, and it looks like Mega Man 11, based on if this is true from Capcom, seems to be certainly a hit. And I think that's good. I think it's great that the Blue Bomber is making the comeback, though. I think that Mega Man 11, to me, although it was an honorable mention, it was definitely a fun game and a return back to the tire and true formula that Mega Man was known for. And I also enjoyed the gear system, as that kind of helped ease perhaps newcomers, although some people will find a way to play it without it, like the classic tire and true Mega Man formula. But with the Mega Man X Legacy Collection doing very well, I do hope this opens the door to the possibility that with that and Mega Man 11 being a success, that Capcom could consider maybe doing like a Mega Man X9, or perhaps maybe a remake or sequel to Mega Man X Command, the RPG which uses the Mega Man X characters, or even one that I think a lot of Mega Man fans would love to see make a comeback if they Capcom's willing to do is possibly Mega Man Legends 3, the one that was canceled on the Nintendo 3DS. I think a lot of fans would love to see that project revived again, though, especially since the whole Red Ash debacle mess, which was supposed to be the spiritual successor to the Mega Man Legends series, but with concept closed and the whole situation with that's probably on the back burner, or who knows when that will ever make a comeback, though. I think this would be a great opportunity for Capcom to bring back the Mega Man Legends series. Perhaps maybe a remake of the first and second one as well. So overall, great that Mega Man 11 did very well for Capcom. Great that the Legacy Collection, or Mega Man X Legacy Collection, did well. Here's to hoping that a Mega Man 12 does happen, although there is some reports that it is. And here's to hoping that not only a Mega Man X9 happens, but maybe, just maybe, we'll get a Mega Man Legends 3, that Mega Man game that a lot of people want to see happen. That was canceled on the 3DS. So fingers crossed on that one. But overall, great that the Mega Man franchise is finding its foot again and is making the comeback it deserves. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the possibility that Xbox Live could be coming to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing? Do you think this will happen? Do you think it might improve Nintendo's online service? Do you think this is opening the doors to the possibility that Xbox Game Pass could be coming to the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about the controversy surrounding Metro Exodus, though? Do you think the developer who criticized this was right to criticize a lot of the fans who took the whole exclusivity too seriously? Do you think he was way out of line on this? Do you think that this was bad for what THQ Nordic did? Do you think exclusivity is a bad thing? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think they're both good and bad, depending on your view? What about your thoughts about this comment made about the possibility of Rage.to, whether or not it could come to the Switch? Do you still holding out hopes that you believe Rage.to will come to the Nintendo Switch, or do you believe it's unlikely to happen? What are your thoughts about 2K Games or Take-Two Interactive releasing their financial reports? Are you pleased that Red Dead Redemption 2 did very well? Do you see that Red Dead Redemption Online could find itself in the same situation as GTA Online? Do you think Red Dead Redemption 2 will have the same legs as, say, Grand Theft Auto 5? With Civilization doing very well on the Nintendo Switch, do you think this will open the door to other games from 2K Games or other games from Take-Two Interactive coming to the Nintendo Switch? Would you like to see? Do you think this will open the door for maybe Rockstar bringing more games over to the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about Square Enix financial report? Do you think it was a mixed bag? Are you happy that Octopath Traveler did well? Are you happy that Shadows of the Tomb Raider or Just Cause 4 did very well and all? Do you think perhaps, or maybe the Square Enix needs to maybe not have a game be in development for 10 years or so forth? What are your thoughts about Battlefield 5 selling well below the expectations of what EA had to do? Are you surprised by this? Are you not surprised by this? Do you think that they should be happy they sold 7.3 million copies, though? Do you think they're right to blame the single player being in the game, not the Battle Royale? Or do you think that do you think EA's just finding excuses on the fact that they messed up with Battlefield 5? What are your thoughts about the comments Disney made about EA, though? Do you think they're right to stick with them in terms of handling the Star Wars license, or do you think they really need to look at other developers that can handle the Star Wars license properly? And last but not least, what are your thoughts about the sales numbers of Mega Man 11? Do you think these are good sales numbers? Do you think these are also good sales numbers for the Mega Man Legacy Collection? Do you think this opens the door to the possibility that a Mega Man X9 could happen? Or a Mega Man Legends 3? Do you think that could happen because of the success of Mega Man 11 and Mega Man X Legacy Collection? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I do. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!